give a platform to PhD scholars. One of the problems we have in India is pertinent debate about quantity versus quality of research. And I, for one, certainly believe that it's quality that's important, not so much that money, not the number of papers that we are publishing, the sort of work you do.
This talk is based on my monograph. It is published by the American Accounting Association. The principles of scientific inference are quite intuitive, and good researchers, good journals have always followed those principles. They have always gone beyond this official methodology.
There are two possible channels through which geopolitical risk can affect investments. So the first one is the real options channel, which leads to firms cutting back or waiting for uncertainty to resolve before they proceed with capital investment.
Why do we need ESG reporting? What is the relevance of ESG reporting? A total of 3,038 investors representing over $100 trillion in combined assets have signed commitment to integrate ESG in their investment decisions. Asset managers and investors are integrating the material ESG factors into investment decision making. Stakeholders are also interested in the transparency of material ESG information of corporations along with financial information, which means that this is not just a regulatory shift, but is also demanded from the stakeholders of a corporate.
As we all know, exchange rate is also determined by the supply and demand dynamics of the forex market, which are indeed linked to, according to this school, to three key macroeconomic variables of different economies. So the three different macroeconomic variables are relative money supplies, interest rates between the two countries, the differential, as well as the output gap, which is the difference between the GDP of the two countries. So these three variables are basically responsible for the supply-demand imbalances, because these three variables can actually determine the relative competitiveness of a country when it comes to how it trades with its partners.
Pay inequality can be defined either horizontally or vertically. Horizontal pay inequality refers to pay differences at the same level. Vertical pay inequality refers to pay differences across different levels. In this study, we focus on vertical pay inequality, hereafter PI, and we define PI as the ratio of CEO work pay to the average worker pay. We use ROA, return on assets, as a measure of firm performance. So the PI has increased dramatically over years across many countries. For instance, in the US, in 1965, the CEO made 21 times as much as an average worker. But by 2022, the CEO made as high as 344 times the pay of an average worker. And in response, the governments in many countries like US, UK and India have mandated disclosure of CEO pay data.
Now, the paper talks about two competing hypotheses. The disciplining hypothesis, that we know that a firm which is covered more by the analysts, they are more speculated or rather monitored by the economic agents, and therefore they would not engage in earnings management so much. Whereas the counter view is that firms which are actually having a lot of coverage, there the pressure is on the managers to either meet the expectations of the analysts or to beat the expectations of the analysts.
What are the broader implications? You shown me what's happening in India, what's happening in China. Why do I care? Okay, the answer is you should care about India or China, irrespective of whether you're living in USA, Canada, or wherever, simply because this is where the world's economy, the growth in the world's economy is going to take place in the next 20 or 30 years.
Now, there are three requirements to do good research. One is access, second is time, third are resources.
So for instance, in colleges of engineering and medicine, publications are important, but nobody cares that much about that. They're much more worried about how much you bring in grants, how you fund doctoral students, that their metrics that are very different than what we have.
So we have our various track systems, but the faculty which is actually young, which is coming from top schools, are trained properly. They're supposed to be publishing, and they should actually take care of their own publishing lesson, who are the teaching, because they're taking the teaching load, they're good teachers, and students are getting benefited. At the same time, the faculties which are coming from young streams, which are young, which are PhDs, they have to publish both quantity and quality. Both they can publish because they are at a young of their career, and they need to anyways publish to grow in their career.
So I think the greatest feature of high quality research is you are addressing a question or a problem which is interesting, which matters not only to a select few but to larger community, and therefore anybody who reads your paper will read the full paper, not just the first page.